Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are beginning, as usual, with our Picks with Peter B segment. Joining us in studio is Mr. Jay Sinatra, our Picks insider here on the Pulse every week. And you know, Jay?
I thought I was an expert.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm just going to call you an expert.
No, I'm not an expert.
You made me some cash last week, Jay. You made me some cash. If you guys were watching, Jay Sinatra, what did you say, Jay? Remind us of, what did you say? What was your kind of like your
Titans plus 5,
That's
Titans
right.
money line, small play money line. Both ends hit. Vikings plus 7. I did say I thought the Saints would win the game, but I like the Vikings with the points. And those were the only 2 games that I really picked.
That you really delved
Yeah,
into?
I mean, I don't need to pick every single game. You know, guys say, "Oh, there's 4 games on the board. I got
Let's
to pick
pick all of them."
I got to pick all of them, and I got the itch. I got to play. No,
Exactly.
you be disciplined and you go with the games that your gut you're strong with and that you want to play, and that's how you play. That's how you have an opportunity to win more long term.
And I guess that's the biggest difference between a degenerate gambler and a casual gambler, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not either, but I'm just
yeah,
saying.
me neither. I mean, you got to have some discipline. I mean, you like what you like. Yeah, everybody wants to play the playoffs. Playoffs, good time, good action, and everything. But you know, if you're fortunate enough to make some money on the NFL board, you don't have to roll it into NHL and NBA that night. And you know, oh, what's next? What's next? Take a deep breath. There's always another day. There's always another game. And there's a lot of them right now
I
in the
agree.
NFL.
And it really was a crazy wild card weekend, pun intended. Would you say so? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I you know, the biggest thing with this, I thought the Saints losing outright. I mean, nobody really saw that coming. They were nearly a 4-1 favorite in that game in some books. I think the number was more like anywhere from 370 to 380, 385, and they go down outright. So that to me was the shocker of the weekend.
Exactly. Well, we have the divisional round here this weekend, and unfortunately, once the show airs, these Saturday games will be over. But it is important that we do touch upon them. And remember, folks, at thepulseofpeterb@gmail.com. Any questions that you're having an itch for, you can send it over to Mr. Sinatra. I know he loves
Talk about the
calling
zit
it.
on my face.
Exactly. But why don't we start with the early game on Saturday, and that's Minnesota, 7-point underdogs to the San Francisco 49ers. I know you were kind of about this game.
I don't have a lean on this game at all. So again, I mean, this is a game I don't really have a good feel for either way. I was San Francisco earlier. No, excuse me. I was Minnesota earlier in the week, but I backed off of it. The line in this game's pretty much been frozen at 7. One thing in this game that I did see that was a little odd to me, there was a huge money line variance between a couple of different books I was looking at. Some of these places had San Francisco minus 335 to win 100. I seen some 290s floating around as well. Not really sure what that means. Maybe a big Minnesota outright bet. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of like spun me off of this game a little bit as well.
It'll be interesting because San Francisco's a young team. Jimmy Garoppolo in his first playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be really, really interesting what happens in that game. The evening game on Saturday night is, of course, those Tennessee Titans, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-point underdogs to Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, do you think that spread will hold up tonight?
That line actually just recently jumped and hopped about a half a point north. It was 9.5 for the better part of the week. I mean, look, it's tough if they'll go against the Ravens right now. Jackson's on fire. Tennessee, though, impressive. They have good momentum from last week, what they did up in Foxborough, running the ball like crazy. I mean, Henry was on fire. He had a humongous game. He's going to need to do much of the same for them to have an opportunity.
That's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And you know, everybody is on the Baltimore bandwagon now. I mean, so that makes you...
Well, they're the chalk to win the whole thing.
Right.
And they have been for quite,
And we'll get to that a little later. Now,
Yeah.
now to the Sunday games. The Houston Texans coming off that gritty, we'll call it, victory. No pun intended to the Flyers mascot. Gritty victory over the Buffalo Bills last week. Heading to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. People, Jay, believe that Kansas City took a step back this year. Of course, Mahomes was hurt for a little bit of the year. Kansas City goes into the game as 9.5 points. By the way, I mean, it's the playoffs. I feel like these spreads are just huge for teams that are contending teams in the playoffs. I mean, but anyway, Kansas City's 9.5-point favorites.
Yeah, well, to further your point on that, I mean, the bye teams that are playing in the first home games, the 1s and the 2s are typically a little bit of a higher number favorite. You get a little bit more variance on a 1 seed and a 2 seed as opposed to the wild card weekend where some of the spreads were more packed in, like the Philadelphia-Seattle game, like the Houston-Buffalo game. But this is a game I am thinking about throwing the dice on. I really like the Texans in this game. I just, Watson, his big play capability, he's throwing the ball, he can run the ball. I mean, he had some critical third down conversions in the game against Buffalo. And again, the spread in this game, Chiefs open up at about a 9-point favorite, I'd say. I don't think I've seen anything go to 10 yet. I have seen a bunch of 9.5 floating around. The Houston Texans are probably my game. If I'm going to play this week, I like them plus the points.
All right, look at that, folks. Look at that. And then, of course, the final game, the Sunday night game, early Sunday night game, the early evening Sunday night game, which the Seattle Seahawks go up to Lambeau. I saw a bunch of people shoveling out snow there the other day, Jay. What is it, like 900,000 owners of the Packers or something like that? But anyway, they're going out to Lambeau. They are 4-point underdogs to the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Do you have a horse in this race, as they say?
Yeah, I like that. Short lean to the Packers. Another game spread opened up at 4, jumped very shortly to 4.5. It's back down to 4, and people get all hung up again with this narrative. Lambeau and the frozen tundra and freezing and snow and the backers. Green Bay's lost games. They've lost big games at home in the playoffs. They lost a championship game with when they had Favre to the Giants. They lost.
It was like negative 30 that game.
I remember one time. I remember one time when Michael Vick and the Falcons went up there, and I believe it was Wild Card Weekend. They were like a 6-point underdog. They go up there and they win the game outright by 20. So I do lean Packers because Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but I'm not sucked into this whole thing that like nobody can go up there and play in that kind of element.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And now, Jay, I have my little William Hill Sports app going here. Now that I'm,
he's a player
in the black, right? Exactly. And it is absolutely fascinating. But what it doesn't have here, folks, what it does not have is the Jay Sinatra opinion. And I want to know the Jay Sinatra opinion about current futures.
Futures, the last time I checked, we'll see how accurate I am. The futures, we had Baltimore as a chalk plus 200. I believe the 49ers and the Chiefs came in after that, anywhere from about plus 300 to plus 400 in that area. Then the Packers, I believe, were about plus 800. And then as we move down the board, I think the Seahawks, I want to say they were about plus 12 in that area. Minnesota plus 14. And then the two biggest long shots on a $100 bet were the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans, which I believe were any place from like plus 2,500 to $3 to win the entire thing. So that's kind of where we stand with the futures.
That's incredible.
Who do you like to win the championship?
I don't know. I mean,
what do you mean you don't know? You're hot.
I am hot. You're right.
You had the Titans last week.
I am
you're
caliente,
rolling.
I had the Titans because of you, of course.
Well,
your expert analysis.
Now you're plus. Now you're
all right.
Now you're playing on their money.
I am playing on their money.
Yeah.
You're right. I said, I'm in the black here. I'm not in the red for once. I mean, trust me, in the cable access, we're always in the red around here. But anyway, it's good to be in the black a little. I have to tell you, Jay, I don't know. I mean, I really, really like the Kansas City Chiefs, but after hearing your analysis,
that's okay.
I mean, it might not be. I don't trust a rookie in Jackson and Baltimore yet going that far. Can you really bet against the Green Bay Packers? I'm not sure. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers, who's been there before, of course, I'm just not sure. And San Francisco, I don't trust because that goes back to the whole rookie thing. But let's see.
I'm curious to see what Jackson's able to do. Last year in the playoff game at home against the Chargers, the inability for him to get the ball downfield, he couldn't do anything. He was terrible that day. Let's see. I mean, he's got big-time momentum. He's had a great season. Let's see if he could change that a little bit and see what he can get done against Tennessee.
Jay Sinatra, our Picks Insider, every week here on The Pulse. Folks, when we come back, you are not going to want to miss it. We have a brand new debut in studio for our Places with Peter B segment. We will be back.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse of Peter B. Folks, don't forget to get on our YouTube page and binge watch all of our past episodes. Type in the Pulse of Peter B in your search bar and please subscribe. Also, go on our Instagram page and follow us at The Pulse with Peter B. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to The Pulse of Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano, and as promised in our last segment and on our social media platforms, we have a brand new debut this week on The Pulse. Why am I talking so slowly? And that is Ms. Ashley Rollo of Ashley Lauren Rollo on Instagram. What's going on, Ash?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. Are you excited to be on
I
the
am.
Pulse?
I'm very excited because I'm really excited to talk about the restaurant that I ate at this week.
Okay, and she even knows segues. You have to love it. You have to love that. And that restaurant, of course, is Osteria Cucina Rustica. Oh yeah, is that my Italian
That
that's
is-
coming out? That's pretty good, right?
That's
pretty good.
It's something.
It's something. I'm
It's
going to repeat it for you
something.
one more time. Osteria Cucina Rustica, which is located at 91 South Main Street in Marlboro, New Jersey. Oh, folks, we're getting big here on the Post. We're heading down to Central Jersey or South Jersey, depends who you talk to. Ashley will tell you it's Central Jersey, correct?
It's 100% Central
It's
Jersey.
100, even though there's some people that say there's just a north and a south. Anyway, we're heading down there to discuss this fabulous Italian restaurant. And I have to tell you, we previewed it on the Pulse Facebook and Instagram page earlier this week. The place looks massive on the outside. It looks ginormous. Ambiance-wise, is this like a dance
It's
hall?
huge. It's huge. And the best part is they just put in a patio for last summer. So now not just inside is gigantic. They also have an outside portion that's also huge. And you can eat out there and they'll put tables out in the summertime with different umbrellas. And it's just absolutely fantastic. It's
That is-
huge.
It's unbelievable, right? Now, I know you went there a little earlier this week, so obviously you did not eat outside because it was a little cold.
It was a little chilly.
It was a little chilly.
Little chilly. They didn't have tables out.
Was this your first time there? I'm guessing no.
No, I've gone there several times, especially in the summertime. It's one of my go-to spots, especially on weekends, because they have a really good watermelon martini that they make.
Oh, talk to me.
It's fantastic. You get the burrata, you get the watermelon martini, you get the salad, maybe a little pasta dish, and it's just a great Saturday
I
vibe.
love that. A great Saturday, you know, and it doesn't seem like that heavy of a meal, but it's a good drinking day, I'm guessing.
It's a great drinking day, and the bartenders are very knowledgeable there. So they make the perfect portion. So you have a drink, it tastes good, it has the right alcohol in it, and it's served perfectly. The presentation of everything there is fantastic.
It really is. And right on Main Street, you're not going to be able to miss this place in Marlboro, correct?
No, when you're coming right off of Route 18, for all the people coming from North Jersey, you'll get off the exit and it's going to be right there on your left-hand side. And I'm not going to point at anybody from North Jersey,
I will 100% have my navigation
but
system on.
you can make a left turn.
No!
Yes, you can make a left turn. No
I
jug
think we can
handles
do that in
necessary.
Hudson County, too.
Well, you have to only make left turns in Hudson County with all the one-way streets that you guys have here.
There she goes. There she goes. Folks, you're going to be wanting to move to Marlboro by the time this segment is over, right?
Yeah.
So now, you went there earlier this week. What did you have? You know, I need the dish by dish breakdown. By the way, did you do the martini?
I did not do that. I didn't have any alcohol, actually.
Wow, it was a working trip.
It was a working trip. Plus, you can't just have one martini. And I had work the next day, so I needed to be responsible, as difficult as it was, because they have a huge wine list. It's 5 or 6 pages long
No way.
of wine from all different parts of Italy, and every type of dish you can think of, they have a wine to go with it. So it was tough to
But
say
you were
no to the
sticking to
wine.
water.
I was sticking to water and Diet Coke.
Okay.
I had to save calories somewhere because once you hear what I ate, you will be
Well, let's
very
hear it.
impressed.
Let's hear it. Give
So
me a
when you
breakdown.
sit down, they give you a giant basket of bread, and it's not just the regular Italian bread.
Right.
It's also this onion bread. It's like thick, and it's got like caramelized onions on it. Absolutely fantastic.
Caramelized onions. Love that.
It's awesome.
That
And then they
sounds
have 3
awesome.
different dipping sauces for it. They have an olive oil with roasted garlic in it. They have, I'm going to say it's a seasoned ricotta spread,
Okay.
just because it was definitely ricotta and it had something else in it. And then there's also a small dish of fried zucchini, but it's also like in an oil base, so it's really good. Tastes fantastic on the bread.
And there are 3 different type of spreads, it seems like. I mean,
Yes.
like, you can't get any more different than the 3 you mentioned, and I guess
No,
that's why.
and
Right.
it covers everything that a person can possibly think of to have right before they have a nice Italian meal.
100%.
And I'm not going to say that I had 2 baskets of bread on my own, but I'm also not going to not say that I had 2 baskets of bread on my own. The food is so good there. The bread is fantastic.
I'm guessing they make it in-house.
I'm not sure. I should have asked because it was so good.
Okay. Well, you're just going to have to find out and get
You're
over
gonna have
it,
to find
folks.
out.
All right. What was your next dish?
So then I ordered a half portion of spaghetti. The reason I
Half
used
portion.
quotes is because the giant bowl of
like
the
a
half
pound of
portion,
pasta.
a pound, it was probably 2. It was
Oh,
huge. The
mamma
bowl
mia.
was this big. It was like this deep, and it was fantastic. My favorite part about it is coming from an Italian family where they still eat 1 o'clock on Sundays. The sauce was rich. It was thick and it wasn't watery. You know when you go to a place and they don't drain the macaroni like the right way? it was perfect. It was just sauce. There was no pool of water at the bottom.
That is so important.
It was, and it was
I completely
perfect.
agree with you, yeah.
And you're Italian too, so you understand when you
course.
find a good spaghetti, you stay with
A
it.
little al dente, it wasn't like a soup,
Perfect.
right?
It was literally
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
And the spaghetti, it wasn't sticking together. You can tell that they knew what they were doing.
Was it a marinara sauce?
It was a
or-
marinara sauce.
Okay, very, very nice. And now you were teasing me that night because I was getting
was.
texts about her entree, which, and as the folks know on the show, I actually gave up red meat, Ashley, but I think I might have tried it again. What type of steak was that?
It was a filet mignon that would make vegans change their mind.
Oh, boom!
It was fantastic. It was, I don't even know. It had to be about 8 ounces. It was cooked perfectly. Had the salt and pepper crust on the top. And it was cooked perfect all the way through. Almost as if they used like a sous vide and then they did a quick pan sear on each side to get it nice and crisp. It was served on a bed of mashed potatoes with baby carrots, but they were the garden carrots where they still had like the little green tops on the end. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I ate the entire thing after the full bowl of pasta.
And the 2 baskets of bread.
And the 2 baskets of
I
bread.
couldn't resist that. So now, you said you have been here before. So is there other dishes that you've had before that you could recommend to the viewers?
Their veal is fantastic. They also do very great jobs with the seafood. The seafood is always fresh. You don't know what seafood they have until you get there because it is seasonal. The chef makes sure that they have only fish that's in season, so you're getting the freshest, highest quality seafood that you can buy.
That's great. I'm a huge seafood fan.
And it's
great.
seafood is one of those things. If they ruin it, it's not that. It's
No.
awful.
And it's very easy to ruin.
It is, and I've never had a bad seafood dish there.
That's
Their
phenomenal.
salmon is
So, perfecto. She says.
Perfect.
I like that. I like all these hand movements too.
I'm
I feel
Italian,
like
I
yeah,
can't-
I know. I love it.
The
Trust
two
me.
of us, we
I
wouldn't
know.
be the same.
Jesus, exactly. We're like we're not hitting each other. And definitely a date night spot. correct?
definitely. You can
Okay.
bring a family there, but the ambience is perfect for a date. And the favorite
And I
part
can't
of
believe you were by yourself. Come on.
they looked at me like I was crazy when I said for one. They're like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, there's just me."
The next time you can call me up, you can call our political analyst,
I will
Josh
call-
Sotomayor
I will
Einstein.
call Josh, and Josh and I can have
Exactly.
a nice, heated discussion over a nice dish of pasta.
There you go. Wow, she might delve into our politics
I
segment.
will say though, the highlight of that place is you can see into the kitchen. It is super
Interesting.
important to me that you can
Wow.
see how clean a kitchen is because you know that you're getting clean food. You're getting everything freshly done. You can see every little thing that they do in there. Everything from plating to cooking to boiling the water. Everything is
Transparency at its
transparent.
best. I was going to say. That is awesome. Well, Ashley, did you have fun?
I had a great time.
And it looks like you had a great time at Osteria Cucina Rustica earlier this week, too. So, folks, get over to Marlboro, right on Main Street. Go visit our friends over there. You never know. You might see Ashley there alone, and she might want company. Ha! Right?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Exactly. Follow her on Instagram, and, maybe it'll be pre-planned. Who knows?
A little slide into the DMs. Is that
There
what
you
you're
go.
trying to
I
do?
was
A
trying
DM
that.
slide?
I was trying that. Anyway, well, thank you for joining us this week
Thank
on
you
The
for
Pulse,
having me.
of course. And we look forward to continuing having you on future episodes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. You're not going to want to miss it. And make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.
This is Steve Lennox with the Jersey Sports Report. Let's head right out to Bobby Blackjack at the Prudential Center in Newark. Bobby, how are you today?
Hello, Steve. How are you? I'm here on a beautiful, warm January afternoon here at the Rock in Newark. What an exciting game we have for you. Seton Hall Pirates off to a 3-0 start atop of the standings, playing the hated Marquette Golden Eagles. Hated why? After the biggest tournament last year when we beat them, they went out and there's some animosity on the handshakes, but we're here to play this game, and it should be an exciting one.
That's fantastic, Bobby. Absolutely fantastic. And Bobby, what would you say the keys to the matchup is for the Seton Hall Pirates to get another victory to stay undefeated in the Big East this year?
Number one key to this matchup today is Quincy McKnight covering Player of the Year candidate Marcus Howard. I believe Marcus Howard is averaging a few more points per game than our own Miles Powell, another Player of the Year candidate. So if Quincy can lock down Marcus Howard for the most part, we should have this game relatively in hand. But don't forget, Mamu is out once again with his fractured wrist. So this will be a very physical game with Theo John on the Marquette side, banging inside. But don't forget, though, the one key also, the Hauser brothers are not here this year.
Well, that's always fun. That is always fun. Well, Bobby, we'll let you stay for the game. You have to be there for the next few hours. We're nice and cool in the studio, so I'm glad that it's a warm January day.
Get some popcorn, folks. This one's going to be very good.
That's great. We'll see you after the game, Bobby. Steve Lennox back in studio for the Jersey Sports Report. Let's send it right out to the Prudential Center. Bobby Blackjack for our post-game report of the Seton Hall men's basketball game. Bobby, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It was a 69-55 victory for those Seton Hall Pirates, but at halftime, it was only a 3-point game. What changed in the second half, Bobby?
Well, it's funny. In the first half, you mentioned they actually started off with like a 24-13 deficit for the Pirates, and then all of a sudden, like the light clicked on, and they went on a resounding run to actually take the lead at halftime at 40-37. So something really clicked at that point, and the Pirates stepped it up. I think, I mentioned earlier during the pregame about Theo John being physical, and what I tell you, a little skirmish broke out, and it seemed right about that point, things kind of, the tide kind of changed.
And that's very interesting you say that. And you actually asked Miles Powell, of course, the star guard for the Seton Hall Pirates after the game, regarding the complete team effort. And here's what Miles had to say.
Like, it didn't matter who did it or how it got done. Everybody just wants to win. And like I said, when you got a group of guys that just want to win, I mean, you find yourself rolling and good things always wind up happening. So I'm very happy with my team right now.
He looked very complimentary to his teammates, right, Bobby?
Oh, yes. If you look at the stat sheet here, the final stat sheet right in front of me, every single teammate, Pirate, scored, contributed, rebounding, assist. They took turns guarding Marcus Howard. It was just a game where, there wasn't really one hero for once. Yes, Powell had his 20-something points there, 23 points, but you could tell from, at the end of the game, it was a team effort.
And that's very, very interesting. And, of course, it was almost a battle of all-stars, wouldn't you say, Bobby, with Marcus Howard on the Marquette side scoring 27.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, Steve, is that early in the game, Marcus Howard was en fuego. I mean, he really had a big point advantage over Miles Powell. But then, again, when you see the end of the first half, when the tide started turning, that's when Powell got hot. And you know what? There really wasn't much of a difference between the two preseason All-American candidates as far as final score individually.
And of course, you just spoke about the supporting cast regarding Seton Hall, and you actually asked Romero Gill, who was part of that supporting cast, about his play with the other 7'2" center on Seton Hall, Ike Obiagu, and here's what Gill had to say.
I feel like it's gonna be unstoppable. Like both of us, I feel like we get better every day in practice, and we show that out there on the court. So I feel like if we continue at this pace, it's only going to get better for us each and every game.
And Bobby, you also asked head coach Kevin Willard regarding the play of his two big men, and here's what the coach had to say.
Ike and Rower, they've been playing great. They're guys that we don't throw them the ball all that often, but they're really working hard. They're doing a good job of picking and rolling and picking their spots. I think our guys have gotten a lot of confidence in throwing it up to them, which takes time. And I've gotten used to having 2 7-footers early in the season. I tried to force feed them at times, and I tried to give them the ball in certain areas. And I think I've gotten a lot of confidence in what they can do. And they work so hard defensively. They're both doing a phenomenal job.
Bobby, what did you think of what Romero Gill and Coach Willard had to say about the big centers?
Yeah, yes, Steve. Seton Hall has a very unique advantage over most teams in the country, and the fact that I have 2 7-footers, 7'2" actually, in Rowe and Ike. And it's not even including Torian Thompson and Darnell Brody, who are also big bodies during practice. So they bang and fight each other all practice long, and then when it comes out into the court itself, they have that advantage. And you can just see the defense this year is really going around the shot blocking abilities of these two big men. Absolutely interesting. It really, really is. Now, one of the more interesting parts of the game, Bobby, was with about 14 minutes to go, it was 45 up. And then the Pirates went on to score 11 straight points. I mean, Marquette did not score a point in 5.5 minutes. And then actually the Pirates got cold after that, and they were held off the board for 3.5 minutes. So the final score wasn't an indicator of how close the game was at time, correct?
Correct. I key that to the fact that at the about 10:19 mark of the second half, Seton Hall was already in the bonus. So, and they were in a bonus for quite a while before they actually had their 7 fouls, for example, which means that they go onto the charity stripe and get those. Every foul you get, you're getting a chance to add points for free. Hence the charity stripe.
It really, really is. And Kevin Willard was actually asked about this at the end of the game. He was asked about his defensive play, and here's what Kevin Willard had to say.
Well, I think the biggest, we tried to come out and press a little bit and play a little zone. You know, we played Wednesday night late. They played Tuesday, so they kind of had an extra day rest on us. So I was a little worried about our legs and how we were going to come out a little bit. So I tried to speed the tempo up a little bit, and we gave up a couple threes early out of the zone and, you know, kind of got them going. So I think once we kind of just started simplifying what we were doing on the defensive end, we kind of locked in a little bit and we're able to kind of chase some guys off the line and make it as hard as you could possibly make it.
Bobby, would you say that it was another solid defensive effort by the Seton Hall Pirates this afternoon?
Yeah, that's the one thing when you sit and ponder what could be this season. You know, from the preseason from last year, everybody, and when once we do, Miles Powell is coming back. You know, we had this. Everybody had the sense it was going to be a special season, but I think even more so, that being a possibility, is our defense. We are clamping down on the inside. We are not allowing three-point shooters to get their shot. Yeah, Marcus Howard's a great player. He's you know, like I said, preseason All-American, possible Player of the Year candidate. But he also got very cold in the second half as well. So I think that also keyed our victory today.
And, of course, now we move on. We look at the schedule. And the next game, Bobby, is a huge one. It's the number 6 team in the country, the only undefeated team besides Seton Hall in the Big East. And, of course, that's against the Butler Bulldogs. And Romero Gill and Miles Power are asked about their next opponent. And here's what they both had to say at the end of the game.
It's a good opportunity for us. We just got to go back to practice on Monday and prepare for him. And I feel like it's going to be another good game for us, and as long as we do what we learn in practice, I feel like we'll come out successful then. So.
I mean, it's big. This is what you come to this conference for. This is what you want to play high-level basketball for. I mean, there'll probably be top 5 once we go there, and we get another chance at beating the top 5 team. I mean, we slipped up with Oregon and Michigan State, but I mean, I feel like my team, we learned a lot from there, and we're battle-tested now, so I have a lot of confidence in going on the road with this team and playing against a very good and coached Butler team.
And here's, of course, what Coach Willard had to say. He was very complimentary of the Butler Bulldogs. Here's what he had to say.
This is a big one, just because I think it's going to be, you know, tonight you had Marcus and Miles, and now you're going to have Kamar, Baldwin, and Miles Powell go at it in one of the best revenue places in college basketball. So it's a big one, and they're really good. I mean, Laval Jordan has done as good a job as anybody in all of college basketball. I mean, he's got his kids playing great. McDermott's playing great. And Jordan Tucker comes in last night and plays phenomenal. So they're just not Kamar Baldwin. They have guys that can get you, and they're as good at defensively as probably in the country.
When you go into the
Bobby, going to be one heck of a game Wednesday night in Indianapolis, correct?
Oh, correct. Now, a little preview of that game real quick. The games that we won and lost early in the season against ranked opponents is going to come into play against Butler. So the heartbreak we may have felt losing to Oregon, losing to, you know, early in the season, and that Rutgers loss, for example, that is going to come into play against Butler, because now we have some experience on closing games now.
And that's absolutely fascinating. And Bobby, would you say that Seton Hall will most likely be? They were in the top 25 in several different polls coming into this week. Would you say that the impressive win against Xavier and the impressive win against Marquette this afternoon will propel them into the top 25 going into the Butler game?
Absolutely. I would think we're somewhere around 2021, and you know what? I like our team a lot better when we're not ranked because it seems like the expectations are off their shoulders. But you know what? As it may be, we're being noticed. We're a high-profile team in this country, and it's going to happen. So yeah, I think we will be in the top 25.
And it's certainly an accolade when you have a high-profile player like Miles Powell on your team. So Bobby Blackjack, thank you so much for joining us from the Prudential Center. Again, a 69-55 victory. I hope you had fun. Did you have fun? It looks like you have some mites playing behind you now, Bobby. Is that what's going on
Yeah,
here?
it looks like we have a little junior game here. If you don't mind, maybe we'll call some play-by-play here.
All right, listen, we have plenty of time in our future segments. Bobby Blackjack, live from the Prudential Center. Thank you for joining us.
You're
and
very
we look
welcome.
forward to having you in more editions of the Jersey Sports Report going forward.
My pleasure.
All right, we will be right back, folks, for more Jersey Sports Report. We will be back.